Hello, how is everyone doing? I feel like this is like super close up, but maybe it will work. Okay, I'm gonna give everybody a few minutes to join. Hello, everyone, how's it going? Say hi. I would love to see who's all here. Hello, so good to see you guys. Yay, hi. Okay, so I'm excited to chat a little bit today. I know, and hello everyone who's joining. If you have any questions at any time, please feel free to ask them, and I would love to answer them. I kind of want to talk just a minute because I did a class last week, and it was called the Zimmerman toolkit for standing out online. And the people who went through that found it really, really helpful. And I mean, we poured our heart and souls into that class. We hadn't taught a class like that in a long time, and it was just really nice to get to do that and to hear people's feedback, and they just were like, this has been so helpful. This has completely, shifted the way that I think, and it really has given me purpose for this time. And I know that this time has been difficult on a lot of people, and I just wanted to share with you a couple of things that I shared in that class that I think you'll find helpful. I'm not going to share it all because that class, we do have it available if you want to take it. It's $14.95. You can get it through the link in my bio, or you can go to zimmermanpodcast.com/toolkit and you can grab it. But one of the things that I talked about was really kind of shifting our mindset right now, which if you've followed me for any amount of time, then I'm big on, the mindset talk. And one of the things that I talked about, I shared 3 ways that psychologists say successful people achieve their goals. Now, I'm only going to share one with you today because, like I said, the other 2 are going to be in the class if you want it. But one of them was talking about deliberate practice. Now, practice is something that we all know. That's something that it's a behavior that we do, repeatedly in order to get better. So that's something that you're going to do if you're, a football player. And to get better at football, you're going to practice every day. If you are, are a piano player, you're gonna practice, right, to get better at piano. Well, one of the things that we do as successful people is we do deliberate practice. And what deliberate practice means is it means we practice is often something that we aren't comfortable with, right? So, for example, I bet you practice going on Instagram and posting, or going on Facebook and looking at your wall, or those kinds of things. Those are comfortable things to do. You know how to do that. Deliberate practice is going to be something that is going to make you better, but it is outside of your comfort zone. It is not something that you enjoy doing, or you're scared to do it, or something like that. And one of the examples I gave was, I remember, I think this was years ago. I think I was pregnant with Stella. This was back when I had time to watch something. But I watched, what is that show? The Voice. And Usher, who's my favorite, let's just get that out of the way right now. Usher was one of the coaches, and it was his first time coaching. And he would take his team, and instead of just singing, like they already know how to sing, you know what I mean? He would take them and go to the boxing ring, or they would go run or whatever. And he was like, I want to see who has what it takes to actually be successful. Like, you all know how to sing. That's not what makes a star, right? That's not what makes someone successful in the music industry. You've got to step out of your comfort zone. You've got to learn how to answer questions on the spot. You need to have the physical ability to walk around on stage, or to dance on stage, or whatever. So I'm gonna see who can, do deliberate practice, who can step out of their comfort zone, and try new things that are going to better them and their business and all of that. So I think that, that was just such a good, eye-opener for many of the people in that class, because I think oftentimes we think if we're kind of doing the same thing every day, that even if you're getting up and you're checking your email and you're doing work, like you feel like you're getting things done. But the truth is oftentimes you have to, step out of that box. Now, I want to say for a second, hi everyone who's joining. Please feel free to say hi, or give me some hearts, or ask questions if you have questions. Okay, and Catherine's going to join us in a minute. I just kind of wanted to chat with you for a second. what if we took a second and we looked at this time, right? This time of just the whole COVID and the pandemic. And I know everyone's on, like, half the people are going to the beach and half the people are staying at home and masks, and everyone's kind of on a different, piece of the playing field. I'm not about to, like, get into a debate about that. That's not what this is for. But I'm just saying, like, what if we took this time and instead of going to a victim mode and saying, like, oh, this has happened. Hi, Mivia Designs. Good to see you. Instead of saying, oh, this is happening to me and I'm a victim and this is ruining my business or my life or whatever. Like, what if we really took a chance to say, this is happening for me, not to me? I want you to take just a second and imagine that what we're going through right now, COVID-19, what if it was equivalent to like a storm, okay? What if there was this huge storm that came in, and for 3 days it just rained and rained and rained and rained, and you noticed that there was a leak in the kitchen, so you got a bucket and you put it under the leak, and what it did was it exposed an existing problem. That's what it did. And just because you put a bucket under there, that doesn't make the problem go away, right? Because the next time it rains, even if it's just a drizzle, the roof is going to leak. So really what that does, and this is another thing that successful people do. Successful people, this is not one of the 3 that I shared in there, this is an additional one. But successful people, they fix the problem within 3 days. That's something that I read in a book, 5 years ago, and it has stuck with me. And so a successful person is going to look, the rain is going to come down, they're going to see the leak in their roof, and then they're going to fix the roof within 3 days. A non-successful person or a not so successful person is just going to, every time the roof leaks, they're just going to put the bucket there and hope for the best. What if we chose to look at this time like a storm, and because it has been in a lot of ways, what if we chose to go, okay, this isn't being harmful to me. This is actually just exposing the weaknesses in my business or the problems in my business. And the beauty of this is I have time to actually fix these things. Because one day we're going to go back to, a life where retail stores are open again and all of that stuff. And you will never, ever regret fixing those problems, because what's going to happen is, like I said, a storm will come again, and you need to be prepared. But this has given you the time to do that. Let's see. Hi, we love you here at Making It Matthews. Well, hi, Making It Matthews. Good to see you. Oh, Johnny and Toddy, there's my girl. COVIDing it up at the lake, using time to practice and learn. Good for you. Proud of you for taking this time. It is the best time ever to really kind of do this work. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. We will see a year from now who did the work. It will be very clear who did the work and who didn't. And I can say that my business has survived this pandemic because I've done the work. The people who went through my program, The Power of Pinning, last year, who really did it and implemented it, they have survived this year. They have thrived this year. They haven't had to worry about anything because they did the work last year. And I want that for you. And this is honestly the perfect time to implement this. So if you're interested in that class, it's a 3-part class. It's called the Zimmerman Toolkit for Standing Out Online. You can get that, the link in my bio, or you can go to zimmermanpodcast.com/toolkit and you can get that. So the first thing is really shifting our mindset about what's going on right now and choosing to look at it as, oh wow, this is exposing my weaknesses so that I can fix them, rather than looking at it like a victim and everything. So that's step 1. Step 2 is really asking yourself, how much time are you spending on your website? Because your website is, I'm gonna use an example, but it's a hive. It's like, we think like the beehive. It's the beehive. It is the home. It's where the walls are. It's where all the stuff gets done. And then you're going to, have a little honeybee that does the work that takes it to the different platforms that you need to share. But all of your work, the majority of your work, should be done on your website. Just to give you an example, so this morning I shared a blog post that we did that was what I would do today if I were going to do, a photo shoot for a wedding, for new content for my website. And so that blog, we wrote that, and that was put on my website. First and foremost, that was the first thing. Then and only after that, do I then share it to Instagram or share it to Facebook, okay? But it's done originally on my website because I own my website, because that's the hub. I don't ever want to have to go look and go, where did I post that feature I was in or whatever, no, it's all on my website. Here's an example I want to give about that and the importance of that. And I know a lot of people think it's fine, it's not a big deal, I can post things on these platforms. The truth is you don't own the platforms and you don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I think about, and listen, I'm not here to get into a debate on whether this was right or wrong or whatever. It's just an example, okay? So no one come at me for this example, but it's just an example. There was somebody who was on a very popular reality show, who had a very, very popular podcast. And she made a lot of money on this podcast. She had tons of sponsors, and she would post, probably weekly or every other week or something on this podcast. And everything was just through iTunes. She would do the podcast, record it, upload it to iTunes, and that's where the show notes were. That's where everyone listened and all of that. Well, during this pandemic, there was something that came out that she had said something that, wasn't correct or, whatever. Like I said, I'm not here to battle that. I'm just here to say iTunes took her podcast off. And, I think about that two ways. I think about that from the perspective of, iTunes probably should have taken it off. If it doesn't, if what she says doesn't go with their policy. And strictly from a business perspective. Let's not look at this as anything else but just business for a second. And then also I look at it from a business perspective and go, God, that was really not smart to not have all of that content on her own website. Because, or it was a lesson learned. I don't want to say it wasn't smart because maybe she didn't know any better. But you do better when you know better, right? But but I think of all the work that went into that, right? Whether she made a mistake or said something incorrectly or not, the truth is there was a lot of work that was put into that podcast, and now it's gone. There were, I'm talking probably 500, 600 episodes just gone. I mean, unless that was backed up somehow, but the other thing is her audience was trained to just go to iTunes. They weren't trained to go to her website. Whereas, with my podcast, it is on the website first and foremost. It is uploaded to the website first and foremost. The show notes are on the website first and foremost. Then and only then do we take it to iTunes or to Spotify or to Google Play or any of that. Does that make sense, you guys? Give me some hearts if that's making sense. Like I said, from a business perspective only, I think that just shows right there how important it is for you to rely first and foremost on your own website, the Hive, and then you can take it out to these other platforms because we don't own these. You never ever know who's, when the day is going to come. You know how y'all get fed up and I get fed up with work sometimes? There might be a day when the owner of Facebook and Instagram get fed up with these and they sell it to someone who wants to completely revamp it or something, and it's not the way that we're used to it. Right now, those two platforms are very comforting to us. We know how to use them. It's easy to use them. But I'm here to tell you, Facebook and Instagram were not created to convert into sales. They were created for engagement. Instagram and Facebook, they are going to penalize you every time you take someone away from their platform. So you have to really look at, and that class that I teach, the Zimmerman toolkit to standing out online, I really break that down and tell you, which platforms you should be using and which ones you really shouldn't be, depending on what business you have. But so the website is the Hive. That's where the majority of your work should be done. And then you need a honeybee, right? You need a honeybee to take that content that you have on your website and to spread it everywhere so that people know where you are, so that you can begin to train people to, just like and you do this, you go to Instagram or Facebook and you look up a certain account or something like that. You want to train people to just go to your website. And it is possible. I know because I've done it. So that honeybee is Pinterest. Now here's the thing. I know that a lot of you are about to drop off because I just said the word Pinterest. Just, will you hang with me for just a minute, please? Will you just stay with me for just a second? Instagram is safe. Facebook is safe because you know how to use it. You're scared of Pinterest. It makes you uncomfortable because you don't know how to use it. Let me go back to what I said at the beginning about deliberate practice. Successful people take part in deliberate practice. So you might be practicing every day on social media platforms. Fine. But you're not deliberately practicing. Because deliberate practice is when you step out of your comfort zone, you do something new, you practice something new that is actually going to bring you success. Let me tell you why you see more results, or you think you're seeing more results on Instagram or Facebook right now. It's because everyone's on those platforms and everyone is doing the same thing because it's easy, because people know how to do it. Pinterest, people are scared of. They think that they don't know how to use it. And the truth is it's really, really simple. But people let that fear stand in the way of really getting them, amazing results. So I have a program called The Power of Pinning, and it's available until midnight tonight. And it is a 14-day program where we hold your hand step by step, and we walk you through and we teach you how to do this, how to get your content out there into the world. And this is whether you have a local business, so like a restaurant or a bakery or a retail store that's all very local. We show you how to attract those local people, because the truth is everybody, really now, whatever age you're at, if you've got a bank account, you are buying things online, and Google is responsible, or they are getting the number one results to people when they search something. So just let me know in the comments, because this is just the truth. How many of you, when you search something on Google, go all the way down and then you go to page 2, and then you go to page 3, then you go to page 4? No one. In fact, a lot of people don't even go past those first 3 or 4 links. Pinterest, and I teach you how to do this, is I teach you how to get on those first few links, because you've got to get in front of people. The internet, and we can't be scared of this. You can't say that your industry is oversaturated. You can't say that because you just look online. There's a lot of people in the world, and they're all online. So let me show you how to get that presence online so that people can start buying your service, they can buy your product. Whether you are in direct sales, whether you have a service like floral design or photography, whether you are a motivational speaker or something like that, this works for you, and we show you step by step how to do that. So it is an incredible program. Like I said, it is something that most people don't do because they're scared of it, or they think it's going to be too high tech or something. And it was really important to me when we wrote The Power of Pinning that it be like stupid simple, like that it be so simple, like for non-tech people, because I'm not a tech person, and I just wanted it to be the easiest thing in the world. Another thing that people did, my students last year, I had a couple students that said, I see how needed this is for my business, and so I'm going to do this, but I know that I don't want to do it myself. Like, I know I'm never going to, I had a blanket because I was like freezing a second ago, but I'm feeling better. Okay, so the truth is that some people are like, I'm just never going to do it, and I know that. And so they hired someone, like a college student, paid them minimum wage to go through the program and to start doing the Pinterest for them. It is incredible. It basically can teach you how to train, or it can train a Pinterest manager for you. So my own Pinterest manager, I pay $1,500 a month. I'm her only client, and she did this program with me. We're about to invite her on. Her name is Catherine Morehouse, and one of the things that makes this program so different, and I really wanted it to be spectacular, is that you have full access to Catherine. And Catherine responds in like almost a crazy quick amount of time. I'm blown away. She always responds within like 24 hours. And I continue to pay her monthly so that she can be available to you guys. I remember what it was like to not be able to afford a Pinterest manager or to be able to hire on additional help. And that's something that I really feel strongly about paying forward. And so I give you access to her through the program. So once you get into the power of pinning and you log in, you will see that you can chat, you can ask questions. And those questions go directly to Catherine, and Catherine responds to you. And she gives you amazing answers that just help in so many ways. And so you have access to her, and you don't have to pay her $1,500 a month. But like I said, if you want to hire someone to do Pinterest for you, this is like a college student or a high school student or something. This is a really low cost way to train somebody and to get your Pinterest going, because this is how you are going to get money in the bank. It's just the truth. This is kind of everything. Okay, let me see what else we have. Following your amazing advice. Well, thanks. Appreciate it. Books to read. So I love, let's see. I love The Habits of Successful People, and I love Strength Finders. I also love Fascinate. Those are really good books for business. Okay. When I saw you speak at Floor Abundance, you said something similar. Don't hold a grudge. Don't linger on aggravations for more than 3 days. Fix it. And it stayed with me. Good. I'm glad. You always do a great job of putting things into perspective. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Do we use the website as a portfolio or as a blog? Both. And that's another thing that I teach. So I have a program called A Winning Website. And the beautiful thing about if you get the Power of Pinning, which is available until midnight tonight, at the very end of the checkout, it allows you the option to get a winning website at a good discount. So this is like the time that you could get both of these programs for a real, low cost entry, and we have payment plans and all of that stuff. But your website, you just want to get started. Okay. That's the thing about this. You cannot, and I said this, I've said this before, don't look at my website. My website has been 11 years in the making. Okay. So there's a lot of content, and I now have, several people that help me with that and everything. But at the beginning, it was just me and, a website, and you have to start somewhere. And I started slow, and then I was able to, once I kind of really saw the results Pinterest was giving me, it gave me that incentive to do more and everything. So just start, whether it's a portfolio or a blog, you just want to start. You can always add a portfolio later, you can add a blog later, but you just want to start. It's an amazing program and so easy to use, trust me. Oh, good. I'm so glad you like it. I like to be part of the 14-day training. How do I apply? So you can go to thepowerofpinning.com. You can go to just the link in my bio. If the Power of Pinning, if you don't want that right now, get the toolkit. It was the 3-day, the 3 classes, 3-part series class, and you could go to zimmermanpodcast.com/toolkit to get that, or you can get that at the link in my bio. Okay. Let's see. What is the name of the program? It is called The Power of Pinning. Let's see. Catherine, can you ask to join maybe? I have some, yesterday I posted in my Instagram stories one of those question stickers. So if anyone had questions about the Power of Pinning, they could ask, and we got a few of those in, and I wanted to do those with Catherine. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Let's get her in here. Thank y'all for hanging out and doing this. If y'all have any questions, like I said, just ask. No big deal. Hi, Catherine.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you. Oh, it's quite close up, but
I know, same here. I'm like, this is really close up, but it's fine. Okay, how have you been?
I've been good. And yourself?
I'm
Busy during COVID, though.
busy, and but I can't complain. My daughter just had her birthday, and we rented a big water slide and just hung out, and that's
Oh,
about it.
so good.
But yeah, it's nice to be able to do these things. I think that's another thing to kind of add to this is that Pinterest really works as like a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week employee, which is really nice.
Exactly.
It's just constantly getting content out there and leading people to your website. And that results
Hmm.
in sales. Um,
Yeah.
Not overnight, but it does. You have to trust the process, which we talk about
Yeah.
in the power of pinning. So we got some questions. So I wanted to ask them to you
Yeah.
and let you kind of help answer. There might be some that
Mm.
I can answer, but you really are like the Pinterest expert, so I want you to answer some of these. Okay, so one of the questions, and I see someone just asked it, and I want to ask it also in the way this person said it. She said, "Right now, I
Hmm.
absolutely don't have the time to blog. I'm overwhelmed. Is it possible to start generating leads by pinning other people's content? And if so, how does that work?"
So you can't generate leads to your website or anything like that by pinning other people's content. The only way that they land up on your website is if you pin your own content. So just like you had mentioned before, the first step is to actually put all of your content on a blog. Because if you don't have that, then you can't really share anything. And you know what I mean? So you're trying to share your own content so that people have somewhere to go. It doesn't have to be a full-on blog. It can be your portfolio pieces. It can be sales pages. It can be freebie landing pages. There are so many variations that you could send people to. But when it comes to actually creating the pin images, you want to create pin images that are specifically leading people to your content, because Pinterest is, at the moment, this year they've changed the algorithm again to really favor fresh content that comes from the content creator, because they understand that us as business owners, we create amazing content. We have amazing things. So they want you to actually share more of your own content than anybody else's content. So one thing that you must prioritize as a business owner is your own content creation. Whether you are using Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, whatever, you are always going to need to create your own content, because like you say, the platform you own is your own website. And the great thing about Pinterest is that when you can share your own content on Pinterest, people simply click on the image and it takes them directly to that page on the website. It's not a link in my bio, do this, do that, or
Right,
anything like that.
right.
Super simple. And people are actually encouraged to click off Pinterest. So the key thing there for that unique situation is prioritize your own content creation. It's not only going to benefit you in terms of Pinterest, but it's going to benefit you in terms of the longevity of your website and people coming to your website, Google search. And it is obviously going to give you more content to put on Pinterest to drive more traffic to your site.
Yeah. Someone just asked, how do you get like good enough photos for this? And I'm going to answer that. There's two things. Number one, um, I have presets. That's what I use
Mm-hmm.
almost all the time. I haven't had professional pictures taken in a while. If you go on my Instagram account or to my website, to my blog, a lot of those pictures are taken with my iPhone, and then I use my presets. 98% of the time, I'm using the preset called Jessica's Favorite. That's the one I use, and they're good. They're light and bright, and I think that they
Exactly.
attract what we need. I mean, when I
Mm-hmm.
launched my book, I had to just like, this is a white like piece of paper that you get at Home Depot, like a backdrop, and it's just on two tripods. But I literally like sat here and held my book and like took pictures of it with my iPhone and then used my presets. If you Kelly can probably put a link in for the presets. Um, they just what they do for whoever for who's asking Garden Gate flowers and herbs. It's just a button basically that you can push, and it
Mm-hmm.
just makes your picture turn from like yeah to like wow, that's like professional worthy.
Yeah.
If you get the class, the Zimmerman toolkit to standing out online, the presets are included with the class. I'm pretty sure the presets on their own are like $20, and the class is 15, and you get the presets with them, and so it's a really good deal to get to go ahead and just get the class, the Zimmerman toolkit for standing out online. But you don't, that's something that I just really don't want people to focus on, is like the, oh, they have to be professional. I know my blog has to look amazing and all of that. It really doesn't. You just have to get started. And again, I go back to that talk of deliberate practice. It's just getting started. And don't look at what anyone else is doing. Just stay in your own lane and just start.
Exactly.
Okay, so someone asks, why should Pinterest be my focus? Is it really going to attract my dream client?
So the reason why Pinterest should be your main focus as a business owner is because you're constantly trying to be more and more efficient in everything that you do. So that essentially means that when you invest time into anything, you need an ROI that is greater than one, essentially. You want to put something in and get more than one back. So with Pinterest, you have the long-term marketing channel working for you, because it's actually a search engine. It's not a social media channel. So when you put something onto Pinterest, it's very similar to Google. It will stay there. So it uses similar kind of ranking situations, but obviously Pinterest specific. But essentially, it's a search engine, which means if someone searches something on Pinterest and you targeted your pin correctly, you have great graphics and all of that, people are going to see it forever, essentially. We still get traffic to some of Jessica's pins from like 4 years ago. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when you're looking at where you're going to invest your time, you really are trying to invest it into something that's going to give you a greater return for the time invested. And that's what Pinterest does. So just like Jessica had mentioned earlier, Instagram and Facebook are really engagement channels. That's where you engage with your community in one-on-one conversations. You come and do lives.
That's what we're doing right now. We're engaged.
Yeah, have exactly, to have conversations. But on Pinterest, you're essentially taking content you've created once on the blog or in the gallery or wherever it may be. You're putting it onto Pinterest, and you are making sure that you've targeted it correctly for a search engine. And essentially, it's going to show up for ages, and it shows up in Google as well.
Yes, I want to say
so. It's like double whammy.
Yeah, totally. I want to say this one thing, because I think a lot of people think that as they go, oh, it just feels like you have to have all this content, you have to blog all the time. And like, I know that my engagement on Instagram isn't great or my Facebook isn't great. And so someone just said that people can't seem to find my Facebook page. Yeah, because it's just not a priority. Like, it's not. And I think that, the beautiful thing about Pinterest is, like, if I share a blog post today, like I did today, I shared that one that I was talking about, like if I were to do a photo shoot today, that is going to get a few leads from Instagram. When I say a few, I mean like a handful, okay? Like a couple. But if that's all I got every time I wrote a blog or did a blog, I would be real frustrated. I would be like, it's not worth it. It's not worth doing a blog when only 2 people look at it. But what makes me totally okay with continuing to do content is that Pinterest takes it and they pin it, and then it gets repinned and repinned and repinned. And like you said, I get inquiries for weddings from pins that I pinned or blogs that I did 4 years ago.
Ages ago, yeah.
It just keeps, like, that's the beauty of Pinterest. It continually works for you. It is like it's like paying someone once. That's what the power of pinning is. It's like, what if you had this amazing employee? Okay, what if you had Catherine Morehouse right now? And she said, you can pay me one time, and I'm going to work for you for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
And you get to pay me one time. That's really what the power of pinning is. It's pay it once, and Pinterest is going to work for you for 20 years, bringing you business. It's incredible how it works. Yeah. And the longer that you've done it, the more those pins are going to spread, and the bigger. But you have to get started. That is the biggest thing. And I have a friend who told me once, you've got to teach people a little bit more about how to play the long game. She said, you just naturally play the long game. And she said, most people don't. Most people, if it's not going to be instant, they don't want to do it. And I do think that the long game is the most important thing. And it's one of the keys to successful people. They play the long game. Pinterest is the best way to play the long game. It is going to, I always say, what can I do today that my future self will thank me for? Pinterest every day. My future self will always thank me for the work I did on Pinterest.
Exactly. And actually, it's funny that you're talking all about this long game, because that really is always what I say Pinterest is. It is seriously just your long-term traffic generator,
Yeah.
because every business needs an engagement channel. You've got Instagram, it's the place that you engage in one-on-one conversation. But you need a traffic channel, because with the amount of content that you have, with the offers that you're putting out there, it doesn't matter what you do, you need to drive traffic to those offers. You need people to see them. And with an engagement channel, the purpose of the platform is to keep people engaging on the platform in conversation. And that's a great way to generate interest and generate a community and things like that. But in terms of the long-term traffic and building up that community, building up your email list, getting people onto your email list, that's where Pinterest comes into play, because it's driving traffic to your content continuously. And just this morning, I was taking a look at some of our ads that we had done, and I was reviewing some of the ones we'd shut off, I think like a month or two ago, and some of those pins. And today, because we obviously have the toolkit out, we have the power of pinning out, which means everybody that has come through the email list from promoted pins and organic pins are now triggering sales. So today I saw, I think it was 19 sales from a pin that was promoted previously but shut off a while ago. So it's just an organic pin now. It's really just sitting there, gaining the general traffic like any other pin. But it resulted in people signing up to our email list, and that meant that now we got 19 people purchasing this month from just that one pin that ages ago was basically sending traffic onto the email list.
Yeah.
So, it's all about that long game, because yes, they may have not purchased something immediately, or someone who comes to your blog post may not message you straight away.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if they get onto your email list or they take a look at your content, they see it again and again on Pinterest.
Yeah.
It's all about search engine optimization.
Yeah. 6 months after a student of mine went through the power of pinning last year, 6 months later, she had a local bride. So not like, that's another misconception, is everyone thinks, this is like a global thing and my business is locally targeted. We can show you how Pinterest really can target your local audience, because I promise you they are on Pinterest as well. But she, 6 months after implementing what we teach in the power of pinning, which is a 14-day program, she got a local person come to her studio and met with her and did a $20,000 order with her. And she had never done, more than like a $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 order. And she did a $20,000 order. They found her on Pinterest. They didn't even know she existed before. They found her through Pinterest. It works. It really, really works. And then just think about that person with that $20,000 order, how many people they're going to tell about that person. I mean, it's like a snowball effect. It really, really is. But you will never reap the benefits of it if you don't get started. You just have to get started, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to get going. Okay, so someone asks, I get that Pinterest helps with SEO and generating traffic to my website, but is it really possible to target leads in a specific area?
Yes, so it is basically location-based targeting. So Pinterest has recently been generating a few different ways to do this. The previous one was you would set your location for where you are located or where you're targeting naturally. And that would basically tell Pinterest, this is where your local business is. So the fact that you have a business account separates you from personal accounts. It's not like they have to guess, oh, okay, you set your location. Am I going to put the content in front of another person in that location? They know that if you set your location as a business account, that you may be based in that area. And if you use location-based keyword targeting, which I'll talk about in a second, it's going to work together to make sure that they showcase your pins in front of local people. Now, another thing that is interesting with that is you can actually, on the front end of the Pinterest account, this is new, you can put your retail location. You can put your email address, you can put your phone number, you can put all of that on the front of your profile. And that tells us that Pinterest is looking more and more at these local businesses. They also have a setting where you can tell Pinterest, I am a local business. All of those together already create a system where Pinterest is saying, you set yourself up as a local business, you put in your location, you put in a retail location. In your profile description, you indicated the location you're targeting. because we can use location-based keywords. So that would be New York City or moms and tots in New York City or whatever it may be that you're doing, you know, florals for New York brides, anything like that. New York being the keyword that you put in there. So Pinterest can now tell that you are based in New York, you're targeting New York, your retail locations in New York, you're using New York as a keyword over and over again in your profile description, in your pin descriptions, in all of these different places that we talk about in the program. So all of these different places, we can actually target specifically the location that we would like to attract people from or ideal clients from. And that means that Pinterest knows to deliver more of that content in front of that type of audience. There are also many new things that they're coming up with consistently. They're coming up with these Pinterest trends that are based on the countries that you may be targeting or where your audience may be in. So all of these things working together tell us that Pinterest is more and more focusing on this location-based targeting. And not only that, they have heavily invested in personalization on Pinterest. So that means they want to make sure that your experience as a personal user is based on every single interest you have. If you have blue eyes and you search for makeup and you type in blue eyes, eventually you won't have to type in blue eyes because they'll know you have blue eyes.
Right.
That's their desire.
Yes. That's the thing. How many of you lately have like said something or you've looked up one thing and then all of a sudden you just see all this stuff for it and you're like, how do they know? They know. They know. And so, yes, you really can. Someone asked, I want to go back to it for just a second because I don't want them to think that I skipped over it. But they asked, what do you do? Like, how do you share photographers, like professional photographers' photos? And the truth is that gets linked back to your website. So if you do a blog post where you're using a photographer's images and you've credited them in the blog post, you're good. Yeah. That's just going to give them more, exposure as well. So
yeah. And what we did with some of your pins specifically for the wedding, because the photographer that often gets used for a lot of the weddings that Jessica did actually had a Pinterest profile, so we were able to tag her in the comments or actually put her name in there so that if someone's searching for that photographer in particular
we'd
or
also
anything
come
like
up.
that, the pins are showing up. So it's
Yep.
crediting twice, it's crediting in those places, but again, I think that comes into play with BBB, where you talk about how you can write up a contract with the bride, for example, to make sure that you get access to the photo. So those kind of things are important to pay attention to. And I'm not sure, do we have something like that in the resource hub? I think we have.
I'm sorry, I was looking at a question. What'd you ask? I was trying to figure out the next question. I just know you're like telling the truth and you're doing great. Yeah. So I'm just looking and going, what's the next one?
But either way, Jessica teaches you about that. I know that you spoke about it in BBB. So it is, as long as you can get those photos, you can use them. And again, on the website, you can credit them on the website and you can use them on Pinterest and obviously credit them in the description.
Yes. And like I said, in the program, in the Power of Pinning, like we tell you, those are all those little like tips and secrets that aren't hard. You don't know about them, and until you know about them, you can't do them, right? And you can't use them. But even just that, like putting in the photographer's name and tagging them if they have a Pinterest account, like she said, then if someone is, all they're looking at is like wedding photography stuff related to that, then you're going to start to come up. It's really amazing. Okay, so someone asked, like, do you only target locally if you're running ads? No, it has nothing to do with Pinterest ads. This has nothing to do with ads. This beautiful thing about Pinterest, you don't have to pay to play. Okay, Facebook, you got to pay to play. Instagram, you got to pay to play. Pinterest is a different platform. People often associate it with social media because I think when you go to people's websites, you see the icons at the bottom of their website. And it's like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest. And they think, oh, it's social media. It's not social media. It isn't. It is, and you are only used to using it from a place of a user, meaning like you are on there and you're like, I want apple pie, and so you're pinning recipes of apple pies that you'll probably never make, or like the best summer cocktail or whatever, or your forever home's kitchen island. I don't know. You're only used to using it that way, but what we show you how to do in the Power of Pinning is to use it from a business point of view. And once you start using it from a business perspective, I mean, things take off. It's insane how well it works. And really, at the end of the 14-day program, you don't just have the information that you need to get this thing off and running. You'll have done it. You'll have done it.
Yeah.
You'll have done the work. But no, you don't have to have ads. You don't have to
No.
pay to play on Pinterest.
No. That's just one of the ways, but that's one of the things where I think once you get started with Pinterest, you won't want to stop. And that's where ads eventually come in. You'll be like,
Couple years
Instead of-
down the road, yeah.
Exactly. And
Just when-
that's the thing is when you look at it from that perspective of it not being a social media platform, but being a search engine, you're really looking at it like the way I used to describe it is if Google and Instagram had a baby, we'd call it Pinterest.
Yes.
So that's essentially what it is. It is Google search engine functionality where people type stuff in. Everybody Googles it. It's a phrase now. It's a common phrase. Google it.
Google it.
Google it. And then we have Instagram, which is the beautiful visuals. And now we've got the combination where instead of typing something into Google, getting frustrated because you're getting these text-based results and you're trying to figure out, is this going to tell me what I need? Is this actually going to lead me to the right website for what I'm searching for? You're seeing an image instead. And images are so much easier for everybody to comprehend.
Yeah.
So if you are
totally.
able to create an image that is super easy for people to understand, they'll click on that faster than they ever would a link in Google.
Right. Someone asked, after purchasing the power of pinning, is it advised to hire an SEO specialist for your website? I would go through the power of pinning. I would also go through a winning website because we go into SEO in a winning website. A winning website is also like Pinterest. It is super, or like the power of pinning, it is super easy to understand. I hold your hand through the whole thing and show you how to get a website that is, really going to stand out and that you feel proud to, pin things from and everything. But I really do believe if you have both of those that you're going to be good.
Exactly. And in the power of pinning, I teach about keyword research. And it's actually one of the sections that all of the students, when they come back and they comment,
they're blown away.
That's the one section they love. Because it's one of those sections that you don't realize.
A student who said she was in, what was she in? She was in like online marketing or something for 15 years. And she had no clue, like she was blown away by what is taught in that module. Which even goes to say that she goes, I'm so embarrassed that I didn't know this. But I was a guest on 2 podcasts recently that were both marketing experts. Like that is their claim to fame. They get paid big consulting dollars for marketing. And when I came on and talked about Pinterest, both of them were like, what? What? Like to the point where both of those people have reached out and asked me to teach webinars to their people about it because they're just like, I had no idea. And it works. It so works. Okay, here's another question. It says, I have a hard time with Pinterest because when I spent a lot of time working on it, I also found photos of my work being stolen. Like Pinterest was suggesting them as a similar post to me. They would lead to other pages, or I'd find my work on someone else's website or in a blog with no credit. It was super frustrating, and I found I spent more time reporting pins than working on my own. What advice do you have for this? And this caused this person to just quit. They were like, forget it, I'm done. So what advice do you have?
Yeah, exactly. And it's frustrating because it doesn't matter what platform you use, people will steal your stuff. Yeah. Like it's just going to happen online. It happens offline too, but that's what's going to happen is whether you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, you're on Pinterest, Google, whatever it may be, people are going to steal things. And unfortunately, we can't stop people doing that.
Right.
Except going through the regular channels of reporting things. So you can definitely go ahead and report those things. I usually do that like once a month. I will just take all the things and kind of do a whole bunch of reporting in one go. But in terms of your actual involvement in growing your Pinterest account and your investment of time, I have found that no matter how many pins you end up reporting or come down, because they will be taken down very quickly, the best thing that you can do is to brand your content. And that's what we teach in the power of pinning. You need to brand your pin images so that when someone steals it and a pinner hovers over the image, they can see the website URL and it's like, that doesn't match. That doesn't match the image doesn't match the URL it's going to send me to.
Right.
And what that also does is when you brand that, Pinterest can see the logo that is on the image. They can also read the text on an image, which means they can read the website address. Now, if you have that website address there or your logo or anything like that, they can tell that the landing page doesn't match the actual website address and the information on the pin image. So it's actually going to be penalized in the search, which means unless it gets a lot of engagement or anything like that, it's not going to have as much, or it's not going to be ranked highly in the search engine, but it's also not going to get great distribution across Pinterest. So you may be seeing it because you're the creator of that kind of content, so it is highly relevant to you. But the likelihood of it being distributed to a lot of other people on Pinterest is very limited. They are moving more and more into this distribution of fresh content that belongs to the website. So when you claim your website, you tell Pinterest, this is my website, so anything that has this website on it belongs to me, essentially. But not only that, they look at what does your pin image look like and what is the content on that image and in that image. And there's a lot of tech involved, but they can see all of that. They can see if you've got a mug in the image. They can tell what's in the picture. So they can pick up, that's a mug, that's a table, that's a chair. They can also pick up any text on the image and then match that to the page that you send someone to.
Yeah.
So they actually match any picture I put in Zimmerman Events or jessicazimmerman.com's Pinterest images to what's on the landing page. The closer it matches, the higher your ranking and the more distribution you get, because they call it image and text cohesion.
Yeah.
Meaning it matches, belongs to you.
And another thing I want to say about that is, again, this goes back to you have a choice. What do you choose to focus on? You can choose to focus on, I mean, listen, I'm sure that I have images out there that are on someone else's website. I don't want to waste my day like fighting that. You know what I mean? Like, I choose to stay in my own lane and work on my own thing. You know, listen, I will say this too. The truth always rises to the top. It always does. Okay. And so you just can't worry about all of that. You just, I used to run track and I had a coach that said, you got to just stay in your own lane. Like, you know, competition's there. You know, they're trying to, you know, beat you or take you down or whatever. But if you look to the left and to the right constantly, then you're never gonna get to the finish line or achieve your own goal. So if you just keep your head down and you do your own work and you stay in your lane, that's when the success is going to happen. And I have taken that with me my whole life. And I think that just goes here too. I mean, listen, there are people, like, even just like, I've had people message me and say, this graphic that so-and-so is using looks a lot like the graphic you use in your Instagram story. And I'm like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have time to think about that. I'm just thinking about, like,
I'm building my audience.
I'm thinking about my own content that I need to do and stuff. Like, just don't worry about that. Like I said, the truth always rises. I mean, even that person was like, I noticed that this looks very similar. It's fine. So just stay in your own lane, focus on that. Someone says, if I hire a college student to run Pinterest, can I hire her as a contract freelancer? How do I document that? So if I were you, yes, I would hire someone and I would ask them to just be a freelancer and for them to invoice you. They can do it for free through PayPal or something like that, and just figure out what you want to do. If it's a like a hourly rate, or if you want to do like a weekly, like I will pay you this much a week for you to do these things, and then you pay them that amount, and then that way they're responsible for their taxes and all of that. So okay. I bought your Pinterest class. Will that still work? I have not the chance to watch the class. So, are you talking about the toolkit to standing out online? So there's the Zimmerman toolkit for standing out online that is still available, and then there's the power of pinning, and they are both really helpful. Do you have a local accountant or attorney to ask? There are different ways to set that up, but it's someone else asking or trying to reply. So I would, just to get started, I would just have a freelancer do that. I mean, that's how we do things. And then if it gets to be something where it's like where it's more of an employee status, then you figure all that out with your attorney and stuff. Okay. So Someone says, I have a hard time finishing online programs. How long will it take for me to complete the power of pinning? 14 days or fewer.
14 days.
14 days or fewer. I mean, it will take no more than 14 days.
Yeah.
And Catherine and I are pretty easy to listen to. We get to the point. We don't ramble. We
cut out all of the unnecessary whys, the things that you don't need to know if you are just wanting to get it done, put it out there, start generating traffic.
Yeah.
So we like, do this, and you're done in 14 days.
That was very important to me. I said, I do not want to create this where we're telling everybody, and this is why we're doing this, and this is how, and this is da-da-da. I said, well, I just want it to be like, click here, you put your name. Click here, you put your website. I said, because we don't have to, I mean, like as creatives or as entrepreneurs or as moms or whatever, we don't have time for all that stuff. Like we just tell us what we need to do to start getting more money in our bank account. That's really what we want. In a program like this is what we want. I'm not saying it's like what you want in life or anything. Do I have to show up live every day, or can I do this on my own time?
On your own time.
On your own time. Whenever you want. You can get immediate access to it right now. Start it. We've had people who have finished it in just a few days because they just are hungry to like finish it. And then if you want to piece it out, we've separated it out into 14 days for you. I sell products. Will this work for me? This works for services, products. If you do direct sales, if you are like a motivational speaker or a podcaster or whatever, yeah, this works for you. Does this course have everything I need or just the basics to get started?
Well, it has everything you need to get started essentially and to be able to maintain it.
Yes.
So if you're trying to become a Pinterest manager or do something like that, it's not going to give you everything that you need to do that. But that's not the point of this program. It's for you to take it, implement, and get results immediately.
Yes.
So what you need to be doing is saying, you know, what this really is doing is I need to set up my profile. We cover that. How do I make sure that I show up in the search engine? We cover that. How do I make sure I design bins properly? We cover that. So we cover the things that you need to know in these different levels so that you can get started and maintain an account that will generate you traffic.
I think another thing that's really asking is like not from a Pinterest manager perspective, but just from like a business perspective. Does this do I at the end of it, then do I have this big to-do list? No, because you'll have already done it. Like the 14-day program is like, today we're doing this and we walk you through it and you get that done. Great. Now we're doing this and you do that and you're done. So at the end of 14 days, you'll have finished the get started. And now you're just able to continue it and maintain it, basically. Okay, so guys, let's see. Is the power pinning just audio or does it also include templates? Girl, so much stuff. Okay, it is video, audio. We have templates. We show you everything. So it's incredible. And the best part about it, I think, is that you get access to Catherine. So if you have any question at any time, you can just ask her a question and she comes in and she answers it for you. And she's very thorough and specific, and it's there. Oh my gosh, sorry.
I'm there. I'm here.
Some like call came in. I was like, what is happening? So anyway, okay, guys, that's all we have, I think. Are you good, Catherine?
Yeah, go take a look at thepowerofpinning.com. Take a look at all the lessons. Take a look at what's included, and then dive in, because like we say, we've got templates in there where I give you the exact template that I used to write Jessica's pin descriptions. I show you her account so you can actually see it in action. You can see her analytics. You can see her scheduling. You can see those things so that you can see how it's been applied. And again, it's one of those things where we're diving straight in so that you can have an account set up by the end of the 14 days. You have a simple, structured process to follow to get your pins out there, your images out there, and your content out there, so you can begin driving traffic to your Pinterest profile. To your website.
Yeah, that was so important to me, is that I I don't like it when people just talk about things. So I really wanted to share all of my stuff behind the scenes. These are things that worked. These are things that didn't work. Here's my actual analytics. Here's how we grew them. I really wanted you to see like my own stuff. And so I love that that's in there. I love that you have access to Catherine. If you know you want this, go to thepowerofpinning.com and get it. It is available until midnight tonight, Central Standard Time. If you don't feel like that's quite ready, you're not quite ready for it, I encourage you to go get the Zimmerman toolkit for standing out online. It's $14.95. You can go to zimmermanpodcast.com/toolkit and grab that.